Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. Kraken settles with the SEC. Staking in the United States is looking like it's headed for a ban, ladies and gentlemen. We got that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Sorry about that. The button didn't want to turn on there. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $1.06 trillion market cap. We're off by 4.6%. Thank you, Gary Gensler. We're going to get into it. Bitcoin right now, 21,700 plus. We see Ethereum, 1,500 plus. Tether market cap is 68.2 billion. Oh, and you know what? When's somebody going to tell us about Tether? When's somebody from the Department of Justice and the Treasury going to say, Tether's cleared, Tether's fine, your money's safe there, we approve? Where's the seal of approval coming from there? We haven't seen it, even though they released an attestation from BDO yesterday. Is it enough for the DOJ and the Treasury? We shall see. XRP's 38 cents. We're going to take a look at the price and the charts before we get out of here today. You may or may not like it. Shout out to Dr. Martin Heisboik here from Uphold. He says here, AXL, permissionless interoperability, PYR, play to earn, and then HAPY, or PI, cybersecurity, Uphold where utility lives. And it absolutely is. It's home of the altcoins, and it's anything to anything. But let me tell you why that's amazing. You could take your crypto wallet and you could buy private equity with it. Now, some of you already know that, and you could do that at Link2. And I would keep an eye out for a possible special this weekend. I don't know, but I'd keep an eye out. That's what I would do. And I'll tell you what else I'm doing too, and I'm sharing it with you as my digital perspective is not financial advice. But in a moment like the news we're about to cover and go into, there are no compliance issues with private equity, ladies and gentlemen, right? And that brings me a lot of peace and harmony and joy at my house, that I can get poly-signed and I know it's not an issue. And when AI, which you guys absolutely love, obviously, is AI is on the board, you could get that too, or Uphold itself, or Ripple, or Link2 shares, and so many other great products. Look, don't mess around. Click that link underneath. Find out if you're accredited, if you're not, and see what you got to do it. John Deaton starts it off right here with Eleanor Tarrant. Let me start right here. He says, some of us have seen this coming for a long time. It will get worse before it gets better. And I believe that is 1,000,000% correct. Eleanor Tarrant shares here, and it is unbelievable what we're witnessing here, but it is certainly something we've seen coming. Gary Gensler is embarking on a midnight massacre in an attempt to bring all of crypto under his control. In the coming weeks, the SEC, the NYDFS, and the US OCC will be bringing a myriad of enforcement actions against exchanges and banks and entities that mint tokens in an attempt to label the majority of them as securities. I'm told Gary Gensler's strategy is to bring as many enforcement actions as possible while the 118th Congress is still getting its bearings. Isn't this what we've talked about? It absolutely is. The fact that the right side of the aisle, a new day's coming, they say. Where's it at? Where that new day at? Well, this is looking like a new day, but it isn't the new day we wanted. I have said this, whether it's the right side of the aisle in control or the left side of the aisle in control. No one is stopping Gary Gensler because he has the blessing from them all. Don't believe it. It's still true. And this is what happened. When big banks get a turn, this is what their turn looks like. They put you in check because they have Goldman Gary do the bidding for them. I believe that the SEC is under regulatory capture, ladies and gentlemen. I absolutely believe that, and it has been before his tenure even. Next step is to make it so the big banks are the solution. Checkmate. We know that this is getting very real because for over a decade, the big banks have been watching their customers go buy that Bitcoin stuff and all this other crypto. Well, now they finally got somebody, I believe, to do their bidding from an actual regulatory chair, because they're the beneficiaries, ladies and gentlemen. Who's harmed? The innovators in this space. It took the time, money, energy, resources to build out the infrastructure that make this space exist at all are now being crushed, and so is innovation. It's a threat to the banks. Kraken agreed to shutter the crypto staking program, and it really speaks to what the other platforms are going to do. And very quickly here, take a look at how quickly the cascading effects have started. XRP PayNet, important update, we've temporarily halted all rewards programs on the XRP PayNet app due to recent events involving crypto versus the SEC. This includes staking resorts for XRP PayNet coin and all other coins and tokens, and rightfully so that they follow what they see here. The SEC confirmed that Kraken would shut down its staking service for U.S. customers after the publication of this article. Kraken offers a number of services under its staking umbrella, including crypto lending product offer up to 24% yield. This is also expected to shut down under settlement. The industry person said Kraken's staking service offered 20% APY, promising to send customers staking rewards twice a week, according to its website. The vote to do this comes a day after Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong tweeted that he heard rumors that SEC would bar retail customers from engaging in staking. The technique of pledging crypto tokens to run blockchains such as Ethereum. The SEC declined to comment on Armstrong's comments on Wednesday night. Coinbase offered its own staking service. Look, I asked this question as soon as we heard Brian Armstrong's rumor. I did a quoted tweet, and I asked the question. I said, now you tell me, Gary Gensler and the SEC, what happens to proof-of-stake networks like Ethereum? Still waiting. And here's the video of him saying it, but I'm not going to play it because I don't want anyone getting sick. You could be driving a car, but this is him explaining it. Jake Chervinsky, shout out to him from Blockchain Association. Boy, do we align on this. And Crypto Law said it best, I believe, but he takes it as a quote here. A paternalistic and lazy regulator settles on a solution like the one in this settlement. Do not initiate a public process to develop a workable registration process that provides valuable information to investors. Just shut it down. How disappointing is that? And for all of you that say, oh, well, the U.S. SEC can't tell us what to do, that we're on the other side of the world. Again, I remind you, well, the other side of the world, it was a $3+ trillion market before the SEC come in and start doing what they were doing. And now we're barely lucky if we get to a $1 trillion market. What is it you wanted to say about the U.S. regulator that can't do again? Brad Garlinghouse chimes in here, stepping back for a moment from what's happening in the U.S. just in the last few weeks. A number of positive, or at least headed in the right direction of clarity. Global regulatory developments is energizing and really breathing life back into all of us a little bit here to take the global view. And hopefully these kind of wins, regulatory wins around the world, blowing, will eventually incentivize the United States to somehow get Gary Gensler to sit the hell down. But they don't want him to. I've said for a long time that his goal, and obviously Congress is not stopping them no matter who they are, is to get 98, 99% of this crypto market deemed as digital asset securities enrolled into the securities framework for regulation, because it's already developed. They don't have to rewrite the rules. And there is a truth here that a great majority of cryptos, notwithstanding what we just talked about with the staking, but there is a truth here that a great majority of these cryptos are in fact digital asset securities, whether we like that or not. But let's take a look at what Brad says here, because it's right to pull back and get this. Continuing its history of being tech forward, Dubai just published an extensive new set of tech agnostic rulebooks for crypto market participants, covering compliance standards, advertising issuance, and much more. Australia's Treasury is looking to reform licensing custody for crypto and bolster consumer protection. They recently published a token mapping consultation and are looking for public input before updating existing frameworks. Wouldn't that be nice to have that kind of relationship here with the regulator? The UK HMT's new consultation reflects the government's intent to establish proportionate, clear framework that allows firms to innovate while maintaining financial stability and opt for the UK to become a global crypto hub, as it previously announced its goals was to be. South Korea's Financial Services Commission published guidelines that delineate what would be considered a security token versus a payment token and how these are separately governed. The list goes on. Brazil's new legislative framework, etc. Note that the commonalities these regulators are providing leadership and doing the work that we are desperately missing in the United States. Unsurprisingly, this is where companies like Ripple are going. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. How much more are we going to see? Because you know what? We need to remember here that, there is, in fact, a reason for all of this. And I believe it is to get control and relevance of this space, whether it be on the wholesale back end for central banks and governments, or whether it just be on the front end to control it on a retail consumer level. That's what I believe we're happening here. Just very quickly, if you think of this for a moment, when you go from a $3+ trillion market cap for crypto to sub 1 trillion, now just barely at $1 trillion, people understand the fear has been put in place now for a couple years. A few years we've been in this thing. And what does that tell you? That when they finally do let their boot off the back of the neck of crypto, you're going to want to run to where they say it is trusted, to where they say these value protocols are approved, these value protocols are regulated, what have you. Just like there is an internet we use today, and then there's the dark web we do not go on. This is the moment of how they create that. And by the time they let the sun come back out in crypto again, people are going to run to the approved, regulated value networks and the framework that will be established. You just watch. Now let's take a look at this very quickly. Eggrag Crypto shares with us here what's going on with the charts in the market here, and you're going to want to see it. And let's take a look at it here. Everything's loading slow this morning. XRP ranging above the hold the line is normal, but filling in the descending triangle DT without breaking it to the upside makes the probability of breaking to the downside higher. Listen to these percentages here, not predictions, but percentages. The descending triangle usually breaks to the downside with 64% probability and 34% to the upside. And you have to ask yourself, with the recent fundamental news, you could see where that 64% indicator starts showing up. And isn't it interesting that we have not seen a descending triangle formation really showing up and taking place until that fundamental news happened, and now all of a sudden it reveals itself. It doesn't guarantee the downside, but if we do get the downside, we could be looking at 34 cents or even lower, back down to 32. If we go above, we might float above 40 or 43 cents range, somewhere between there and 45 cents. We'll have to keep an eye on it to see what happens. But again, that's what's taking place. Let us not forget, with all of this crushing news, it's not over yet. And let us not forget that we are going to the end of this ruling for SEC versus Ripple. And it is important to remember that that is coming and the countdown is on. And maybe, just maybe, that provides a little clarity for the entire space and not just Ripple and XRP. That's going to do it for me. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.